RT Baseline allows us to pull in data from external sources into our report. In this case, I'd like to pull in a list of ingredients based on the recipe, which is at the procedure level of my event frame. Let's go ahead and hop into SQL and take a look at the data that I'd like to bring in. Here I'm in SQL Server Management Studio, and I have a database called Batch Recipes. Within that database is a table called Recipe. If I open up that table and look at all the rows, you can see that there are rows with a recipe of recipe 1A, and there's some ingredients and their quantities, and there's additional information for other recipes with their ingredients and quantities. I'd like to be able to bring this particular information into my report when my event frame has a recipe of recipe 1A. This is configured through RT Baseline, which is done on the admin page for RT reports. So let me head on over to the RT reports machine and I'll log into the admin page. This is /admin /admin ASPX. I've already set up the data source here. And the data source is called batch data, and it's configured to connect to my SQL server. And here's the connection string. You can follow the documentation on how to set up the relational data source. Once you have a relational data source set up, you need to set up the data set. In this case, again, my data source is batch data, and within that I have a data set called recipes. And my SQL statement is to select all the data from the batch recipes database from the recipe table, where the recipe equals a certain value. So that recipe equals a certain value is a placeholder that I'm going to need to send over from RT reports to make sure that I select the correct rows. Let's go into the RT reports editor and set up that journal action, which can pull in the correct information then from this recipes data set. So I'll go ahead and open up the editor. And I'm going to open my Potion 1A compliance report and check it out for editing, which it already is. I'm going to add a new journal action at the batch level, and I'm going to call it ingredients. Under results definitions, I'm going to add a new one. This is going to be an RT Baseline Services dataset. And I'm going to select recipes because that was my dataset. And notice here that we have one placeholder that we need to specify. There are some variables in RT reports that have placeholders, and in this case, you can just specify them directly. So I do square bracket recipe, square bracket, and I'll click OK. I'll choose an event frame to test this report. And you can see that my recipe is recipe 1A. So I expect the following information is going to get pulled into the journal. This will be under journal events. Here's my journal event for ingredients. I'll check my terminal state. And here are my events. If you look, here's a value of 4 for water, a value of 0.5 for spice, and a value of 1 for sugar. Now let's bring that into our report. Here's my report. So what I'd like to do is place a table directly under recipe 1A that has the list of ingredients. So I'll go to my format template and find this section in the report. and probably right here after this recipe. So let me go ahead and we'll try insert table. And one row is going to be for the header, and then the following rows are going to be iterated on. So I only need 2 rows. And then for columns, I'd like 1 column with the name of the ingredient and 1 column with the quantity. So I'm going to have 2 columns. So for this first row, I'll insert text saying ingredient. And the next one I'll say insert text, and this will be quantity. And for the second row, this needs to be iterated on, so I double click on that, and in the iterator, we are going to be iterating on the properties. And then within them, I'm going to say insert data. And the first one is going to be this one here. And the next one is going to be the quantity. Let me go ahead and save this, and I'll refresh my report, and we'll see if it looks like what we want. And that's actually exactly what I wanted, except I'm missing some of the outline. So I'll go back in there, move it into the one slightly higher location. So it's this one right here, and I'm going to add the border in. Let's make sure it's the same as the others, a border of 2. Yes, so I'll view, refresh. And here now it's in the correct location, and I've pulled in data from an external SQL source based on the recipe.